Hey y'all, today we're in Fort Davis, Texas, and we're going to be checking out Fort Davis National Historic Site. This is going to be an Army fort that was built in 1854 to protect the travelers along the road from San Antonio to El Paso. It's one of the best examples left of an old Army fort, and it was designated as a National Historic Site in 1960. The fort is going to be open every day from 8 to 5, and they do have parking for buses and RVs, so if you're passing through in that, you would have a place to stop. Outside the visitor center, they have some signs with just some general information about visiting. They also have dog bags because you can bring a dog with you. You just can't take them inside any of the buildings. The office is going to be here in the visitor center at the first building you come to. This is going to be where you can pay your entrance fees and get your maps and information. They have this 3D model showing the fort layout and showing where you are. They also have a store with a lot of souvenirs and cool items to look at. And then behind the office, they have a museum. The museum is really neat. They have a lot of cool displays, a lot of information about the fort through the years. A lot of the displays are interactive and just really interesting. They have some military items that would have been used during the time that the fort was in use, which was from 1854 to 1891. This was a really cool station setup where you could listen to a telegraph being sent, and then you could try to type one out yourself using Morse code to send a telegraph. They had a lot of really neat antique items on display that would have been used by people when the fort was first occupied. This was also something cool, showing how the mail and the stagecoach would come through this area. And you can see how far it is to some of these next stops. They had some really beautiful displays of Native American artifacts. I'm not going to show all of them in the video, but they had a lot to see. These are some Kiowa women's moccasins, and you can just see they're so beautiful. They have a lot of items from the Kiowa, from the Comanche, and a lot from the Apache. It's just really amazing to see some of these things that are over 150 years old. So there was a lot to see here in the museum. I'm not going to show it all in the video, but just know there was a good bit more to see. It was really, really interesting and a really neat place. Outside, they have an auditorium where I believe they show movies about the fort. And then they have restrooms, and they also have a water station where you could fill up your water bottle. Also, I did want to mention they do have some golf carts, so that if somebody is unable for whatever reason to walk around the grounds, they do have those golf carts available. Out in front of the visitor center, this is going to be the main parade grounds. They do ask that you not walk on the parade grounds or on the grass, that you just stay on the designated paths, so we did try to do that. This first building had some really neat displays set up inside. You could walk through the building on the main walkway. Some of the buildings are still in their original condition. Some of them have been restored, and then some are just ruins now. So there's lots of different types of things to look at. I'm not going to try to explain all the stuff on the video because I don't want to say it wrong and mess it up, but I'm going to try to show some of the stuff that they have set up on display and some of the signs so that you'll kind of know what to expect and what you can see if you come here. Some of the buildings are set up furnished, how they would have looked when the fort was first occupied. And I tried to film it as best I could. It had a glare. They're all protected by glass so that you can look at it, but you can't go inside. So it did make a little bit of a glare on the camera, and I'm sorry about that, but I'll try to give you a look inside all the rooms that had displays. This is going to be where the stables were out back. They actually do have a few horses still there on property. And then you can see the ruins of the original stable. A lot of the buildings are in ruins now, but they do have signs letting you know what you're looking at and what it would have been at the time. Some of the buildings hadn't completely fallen down, so they're trying to preserve those the best they can. This is going to be the commissary or the store that was here at the fort, and you can go inside and see a lot of stuff in this building. Right here, they show where they had to replace some of the floor because they had some termite damage, but you can see the original boards here, and then you can also see some of the original wall before they had to make repairs. This is another really neat display where they show things that they found under the floor when they were repairing it. A lot of really cool things from all different years were found. I hope you can see them good. I hope they show up on the camera. Again, there was a pretty bad glare on all the glass, but I hope you can see it. This was another cool spot. It was a game where you could spin and then move your wagon along the trail. It's kind of like the Oregon Trail game used to be, so it was pretty fun. Every time you stopped, it would tell you what you would have been doing that day.
In later years, as delivery and mail services improved, officers and their wives could ask relatives and friends back east to send various items that were hard to find on the frontier.
Dear me, I shall be so glad when the supplies come. I'm crazy for some apples. You'll probably have to prepay the freight, and then if you will write me what your expenses in the matter were, I'll refund. We shall enjoy them so. Mrs. Mary Swan Thompson to her mother, November 3rd, 1890.
If there be officers or enlisted men in the army who like pickled pork well enough to eat it when they can obtain other food, they will have to be found elsewhere than at Fort Davis, Texas.
For breakfast, we had beef hash, dry sliced bread and coffee. For dinner, sliced beef, dry bread and coffee. For supper, coffee straight, just dry bread and coffee. The food was very poor.
A sergeant stationed at Fort Davis.
Back outside the store, you could see more ruins of all different types of buildings, and they do have a map where you can kind of see which way to go and see what you're looking at. And then here they have this map set up in the middle showing what some of the buildings looked like around the area. They had the commissary, the bakery, of course the barracks, the headquarters, a chapel, so a lot of different ruins to see. These bigger houses up here were officers' quarters, and they're still standing and in really good shape so that you can see what they would have looked like at the time. They have several shady spots with benches. It is a really big place. It took us about 3 hours to walk through and see everything. So if it is a hot day, these shady spots are going to be a really great place to stop and relax. This sign is going to be telling where the cemetery was. There's nothing there now. Apparently all the remains and all the grave markers were moved to San Antonio in 1892. So I'm not sure why that was or what the story was with that, but there used to be a cemetery. It's just not there now. They also have a nature trail that goes up the side of the mountain so that you can hike up there and then look back down over the area. This is again going to be the parade grounds out in the center, and we're going to be walking towards more of the officers' quarters. Some of the buildings again have already been restored and they're in a lot better shape than others, so really they're just all different. This is going to be a restored kitchen where you can look inside and see what the kitchen would have looked like. All the kitchens were detached and were out back of the houses. This particular house was the home of the commanding officer, and you can go inside and look at how it would have been furnished at the time. Again, everything's behind glass because they want you to be able to see it, but they obviously don't want people to go in and touch everything, so you do have to look at it from the walkway in the middle. But all the furnishings inside are just really beautiful, and it's just really neat to see how the houses were furnished at that time. Also, some of the things actually belong to the families that lived at the fort, and some of the photographs hanging up on the wall are of the actual families who lived there. This is going to be out behind the officers' quarters, and you can see the kitchen would have been right behind the house, and then the bathroom would have been out a little bit further. Up the hill behind the houses is going to be the hospital. Again, you can go inside the hospital, and some of the rooms are set up with displays showing what it would have looked like at the time. And then some of the rooms haven't really been restored, and they're more in their original state. So lots of different things to see and look at here in the hospital. This room where the patients were is really tall. It has really tall ceilings and really big windows. And it says that that's because the Surgeon General wanted to have so much open air space between each bed. And so rather than making the room bigger across, they just made the ceiling higher. This was a cistern out back, and a lot of the buildings had these outside. They had a few more shady places under trees with tables like this. So again, another good spot to relax for a second when you're walking around, because it is a big place. This was a really cool journal entry talking about when they first encountered the Apache, when they first got out here. I doubt you can read it here on the camera, but if you do come, it's something really cool to stop and take a second to read, because it was definitely very interesting. There was definitely a lot more to see than I was able to show in the video, a lot more buildings, a lot more information and signs to read. So if you're out this way, this is definitely a really cool place to stop. If you're into things about the military, things about the Old West, just anything historic, this was just a really fun place to stop and get some information. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it gave you some good information to help you plan your trip if you're going to be out this way. We're really thankful that God blessed us with a chance to come out here, and we're just happy that we're able to share it with everybody. Please subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate all the support, and we have a lot more fun stuff to share. So, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you at the next stop.